Hey there, are you new to selling online and trying to figure out where you should be selling your things? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the differences between Poshmark and eBay so that you can make an informed decision about the best place to sell your things. Hey, I'm Lee Meyer, and I'm the founder of Listing of Freedom and the Empowered Reseller. And I help clothing resellers make more money without hustling harder. Let's get started. I've made over $100,000 selling used goods on sites like eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, and I'm just about ready to break down the differences between eBay and Poshmark for you. But before we do that, I want to take a second to invite you to my free Reseller Bootcamp. This is a free 5-day course where I break down the entire framework of what I'm selling, where I'm selling, and how I'm doing it. And you can grab that free course, Reseller Bootcamp, in the description below this video. The first difference between eBay and Poshmark is the types of items that you can sell. Now on eBay, you can sell pretty much everything under the sun. And with Poshmark, it's mainly geared around clothes. They do have a few household items, a few other categories, but the primary target audience is people, shoppers who are looking to purchase clothing. With that said, eBay can be a really profitable place to sell used clothing on. And if you're looking at selling used clothing, rather than trying to sell them in both places at once, if you are a brand new seller, pick just one platform and start with that. Learn that really well before you add anything else because it can get really overwhelming really quickly. Next up, the customer base size of each of these platforms does vary. Poshmark does have less shoppers and less buyers in general, although that is gradually moving up. It is a growing platform. eBay by far has many more shoppers, many more people on the platform. And in addition to just being in the US or just in Canada, if you're a Canadian seller, eBay shoppers come from around the world. And if you're worried about international shipping or how you're going to do that, eBay does take care of that for you. So you would ship just like you would normally, and they would handle the rest of that shipment to whatever country your item is going to go to. And speaking of shipping, one of the other differences between Poshmark and Mercari is the weights of the items that you can ship. On Poshmark, you cannot sell anything that weighs more than 10 pounds because they don't have shipping labels to be able to support that. On eBay, you can sell pretty much anything at any weight as long as you're able to ship it. And if it's something really large, there's even freight shipping available, so you can sell even the biggest of items. And for the actual shipping of the items, Poshmark makes this super easy, especially for new sellers. You can actually put your item in any sort of packaging, a box that you happen to have on hand, a poly mailer, you may have gotten an item in from Amazon. You can also use the free USPS priority shipping supplies. You can get those right from your post office, and you just stick that item into that packaging material and you will stick a Poshmark label on that. No need to weigh your item unless that item is over 5 pounds. If it's over 5 pounds and under that 10-pound mark, you will need to pay some additional money in order to be able to ship that extra weight. But a standard Poshmark label will cover you up to 5 pounds, which covers almost all items. With Poshmark, there's not a whole lot that you need to think about as far as shipping your items. Pretty much a monkey could do it. But with eBay, it's a little bit different. You are going to need to know what shipping methods to use, what shipping methods to charge your customer, or how much you're going to account for if you're going to be offering free shipping. You do need to know what shipping methods are going to be cheapest in order to keep the most amount of money in your pocket. With that said, the current shipping price on Poshmark, which is around $8, can be a little bit off-putting to shoppers when they're buying smaller items in particular that should only be costing $3 to $4 to ship. And so if you're using a platform like eBay that allows you to be able to choose your shipping method, you don't have to charge that huge amount for shipping cost for an item that may only cost you $3.50 for that shipping label. The verdict with shipping is that eBay does give you more control over how much you're going to charge for shipping, but Poshmark is easier. So if you're a brand new seller and I've got no idea what I'm doing, Poshmark can be a really good starting point because it takes all of the guesswork out of that shipping part of it. Another minor thing to note as far as shipping and the differences between Poshmark and eBay is that if you do want to take this to a business level source of income, as I have done in my own life as a part-time reseller where I'm shipping multiple items a day, eBay does make the process of shipping multiple items a whole lot more easier than Poshmark. With Poshmark, you actually have to go in and request like, hey, I want all of these labels at once. I want to be able to print them all at once. With eBay, that's just standard. I can go in and print off 10 labels at a time or 20 or how many ever orders that I have. I hit print, they're all printed and I can pull my items and get them shipped. So we've talked about shipping, but what about the differences in fees of selling on the platforms? With Poshmark, it's a standard flat rate of 20% when you make that sale, unless the item is under $15, in which case your fee is a flat $2.95. If you're selling a lot of lower value items, this can really start to eat into your cost, especially if you're selling items for $10 or less, because nearly $3 of it is going straight back to Poshmark. The seller fees on eBay do vary by the category, and they also vary by things like if you have a store or if you don't have a store. So they're a little bit more complicated. But for most sellers with most items, you're gonna pay right around 13% for your fees when an item sells. That sounds pretty good compared to that 20% on Poshmark, but how these fees are calculated is important to know because this does make a huge difference. And with eBay, that fee, the seller fee of the 13-ish% depending on the category, is charged on the price of the item as well as the price of the shipping. With Poshmark, that 20% is only charged on the price of the item and excludes the amount the buyer pays for shipping. For most items, it's going to be cheaper to sell them on eBay, but of course it will depend on how much you're charging for shipping and what your fees on that shipping portion are going to be. If you're new to selling online, another difference to note between these two platforms is that Poshmark will let you list and sell basically an infinite amount of items. If you're new to selling on eBay, eBay will put thresholds on the amount of items that you can list as well as the dollar amount of those items that you can list. And you need to show that you are fulfilling orders, that your customers are receiving the correct items that you promised. They want to make sure that customers have a good experience on the platform, and so they will put these thresholds in place. So you may run into these levels that you run into, these thresholds that you run into before a higher limit is unlocked for you. The more you sell, the more happy customers you have, the higher those thresholds will be set for you. As far as the listing process goes between eBay and Poshmark, a lot of new sellers find that Poshmark is the easier platform to list on. The app is very easy to follow, easy to go through step by step. With eBay, there's a little bit more involved, like we talked about with the shipping. You do need to know how you're going to charge for shipping, if you're going to charge for shipping, what shipping method you're going to be using. There's just basically more to fill out on the eBay listing form than on Poshmark. Another thing to be aware of when you're listing on the two platforms has to do with the photos. With Poshmark, you can use pretty much any photos that you want. There's not any real hard and fast rules around the photos. With eBay, there are rules with the photos, like you can't have text in your photos saying like, free shipping or, any sort of text like that. They do not want in the photos. Also, eBay does not allow stock photos unless the item is brand new. They want to show the buyer what the real item is that they're going to be receiving. And actually, companies can come on and ask for your listing to be pulled. I've had that done for myself. I've learned from experience. And they can ask that that listing be pulled because you are using their photos. So that's a little pro tip there for you if you're gonna be listing on eBay. Another thing that you're gonna wanna be aware of, you might be wondering, okay, can a customer return an item once they've purchased it? With Poshmark, they get 3 days to review that purchase once it has been received, and at that time, then it's no longer possible to return the item or get a refund for it. The buyer can either accept the item within that 3 days or it will automatically close after that 3-day period is over. With eBay, you do have control over if you're going to offer returns and for what time period that you're going to offer returns. So the standard time periods that you can choose from are 14 days, 30 days, or 60 days, or you could choose to not offer returns at all. Of course, this excludes things where the buyer is protected, such as receiving the wrong item or the item not in the condition promised. As far as getting paid for your sales, with Poshmark, you're going to need to wait for that item to ship, typically 2 to 3 days to get to your buyer. You're going to need to wait that 3-day time period of acceptance for them to be able to accept their purchase. And sometimes they accept right away and you will get your funds released right away, or sometimes they don't accept during that 3 days. And then at the end of that 3-day period, then your funds would be released to you. So you're looking at close to a week to actually receiving your funds for selling that item. With eBay, you do get your funds a little bit quicker. So once the buyer's payment has gone through and that's confirmed, it'll take about 1 to 2 days in order to get that money, have that money available to you. Now you can choose to get paid on a monthly schedule or a weekly schedule or a daily schedule, or you could even set it up for being on demand. So you could go in and say, hey, I have this certain balance. I want that transferred over. I personally choose to have the daily payment. And so I'm receiving funds on a daily basis from those sales. And so you don't have to wait a week like you do with Poshmark in order to get your money. You can get that money very quickly. And if you're a reseller like myself, this is important because it allows you to be able to go out and purchase more inventory very quickly and then turn around and flip that for a profit. And it just repeats that cycle a whole lot quicker than having to wait a week for your payout. So let's talk customer service. I have sold thousands and thousands of items, well over 10,000 items at this point. And you will run into problems somewhere along the way with whatever platform that you're selling on. So it's important as a seller, when these problems do arise, that you're able to get a hold of a customer service rep who is able to help you. Now, the AI tools, whatever help they have online, does not always fix this problem. It does not always solve your problem. A lot of times you do need to talk to a real life human being. And this is a place where Poshmark does lag a little bit. You are not able to talk to a person over the phone. It's via chat and messages where you're having to communicate back and forth to get the problem resolved. And this is one of the reasons why I love selling on eBay. One of the places that eBay shines is with their customer service for sellers. A good example of this is I did have a problem with an order a week or two ago, and I was able to use eBay's chat system and then say, hey, I need to talk to somebody about this. Like, the chat isn't helping me out. And I requested to be contacted by customer service. They called me about a minute or two later, and I was able to talk to, a real person on the phone and actually get my problem resolved. eBay has a whole customer service team that is dedicated exclusively to sellers. So what happens when you're going to be out of town for a few days or you need to take a vacation? With Poshmark, there is a vacation mode. It's a toggle that you turn on and you say, hey, I'm going to be gone. And during that time period, you cannot make sales. With eBay, you can actually set up a vacation mode that will allow you to make sales while you're gone, and so that you can take your vacation knowing that money's still coming in. Then when you get back from your vacation, all you need to do is go and ship the items, and your buyers already know that you're on vacation. You're not going to be responding to messages during that time. They're not expecting to receive the item during that time. They know that the date that they're going to get the item is, a week or two out, depending on how long you're going to be gone. And this is one of the reasons I personally love eBay as somebody who is doing this as a part-time business, because it has allowed me to go and take vacations with my family and still be able to bring in income while I'm not working and while I'm out sitting on the beach or visiting tourist spots. Another difference is that Poshmark does have this kind of social aspect to it where you need to be sharing your items and getting your items out in front of buyers. With eBay, there is no sort of social media aspect. Yes, you can share your items on your, say, Facebook page if you want, but it's not necessary in order to make sales. I've actually never made a sale that way on eBay. And so depending on whether you love social media or you don't, that can be a deciding factor of which platform that you'd rather go with. There is a free Poshmark tool, at least free at the time of this recording, that you can share your items more effectively, faster with, and I will leave a link for that free tool in the description below this video. Now, if you want to make the most money for your items, this next difference is really important to understand, and this is the discount that you need to give when you send an offer on your item. So you will either get likers on Poshmark or watchers on eBay. And a lot of times in order to make the sale, you will need to send out offers in order to encourage them to say, hey, yes, I'm gonna buy the item. With Poshmark, that discount that you need to send out needs to be 10% off, and it needs to be 10% greater than your previous discounts. If you've previously sent out an offer on the item, the next offer that you send out will need to be an additional 10% off. In addition to this ever increasing discount when you send offers, you also have to discount your shipping, which means that you are paying for that discounted shipping out of your pocket. With eBay, there's no requirement to discount your shipping. And when you send an offer, it only needs to be 5% off of your asking price. And it does not need to be a better and better offer every time that you send out a new offer. This is one thing that you're gonna definitely wanna be aware of when you choose to go with the Poshmark platform, or if you choose to go with the Poshmark platform, because it can really start to eat into your profits. Another difference is that eBay has additional ways in order for you to be able to make sales. So you don't have to just rely on sending offers. They give other tools. It's really set up to be able to help you have a good experience, to help you see sales. And if you're somebody who's saying, yeah, I want to do this as a part-time business or maybe even a full-time business, eBay does give a lot of tools to help you run your business more efficiently and to run it in less time. So make sure that you sign up for my free reseller bootcamp where I detail all of the how, where, what to be selling. And let me know in the comments below after watching this video, which platform do you feel like, okay, that's the one I'm going to start with? Is it Poshmark or is it eBay? Let me know in the comments and I would love to hear from you. Go ahead and head on over to my Bolo playlist where I walk you through exactly what you should be selling online, the very best things to be selling online for a profit. See you there.